Hey guys, my name is Attorney Walter Rudolph Hnot III, and today I'm doing something a little bit different from what I normally do, which is I'm doing a vacation YouTube video. And this time it's going to be the top 200 things to know about boating before you buy a boat or you go boating. These are all the things that I did that I screwed up when purchasing a boat. And let me tell you, I've sunk a boat, I've gotten it stuck on a ledge 50 feet in, had to have an airboat come and pull me off. I've done everything you can possibly imagine. So this video is in some part for attorneys, but also just for anybody that wants to learn. Why for attorneys? Well, we tend to have a little bit of cash, we tend to buy a boat that's way too fast for our own purposes, and then we make mistakes. So with that said, here's the top 200 things you need to know. Number 1, know your speeds. No wake speed means that there's no wake going on behind your boat. You're going really slow, 1 mile per hour, 2 miles per hour, 3 miles per hour, 4 miles per hour, things like that. That means there's none of this going on behind your boat. Now remember, some boats, they have specialty systems that don't create wake above the water. They just create wake more below the water, which screws up the wildlife, but that's a whole other thing. So remember, no wake speed, you're going slow, super slow. Slow speed, that means minimum wake, okay? That's the important thing here. You have a little bit of wake behind it. You're maybe going 4 miles per hour, 5 miles per hour, 6 miles per hour, 7 miles per hour, maybe 8 miles per hour. Depends on your boat, depends on your skills, but you are in slow speed, right? So you're in slow speed, minimum wake, okay? Now, next one, number 3 is safe speed. Safe speed is your normal operation speed. That means you can go pretty much as fast as you want so long as you're being safe. You have to be safe for yourself. Don't go too fast for your own abilities. You have to be safe for others. Don't murder kayakers, even though some of them deserve it. All right, miles per hour, number 4. Miles per hour. They're going to say on a sign, hey, you can go up to 15 miles per hour. You can go up to 25 miles per hour. Let me explain how that works. Your little boat has a little dial on it. You're going to see how fast you're going. Those are incredibly inaccurate, so don't heavily rely on it. Just rely on it for a general roundabout. That is the limit you can go up to. Now, remember, there is usually a reason why. There might be a bridge coming up, there might be wildlife, whatever, but there's a reason why. Another thing I want to pass on, I'm going to share with you the tickets that I've gotten. When you are following a commercial boat and they are going 35 in a 25 zone, when the cops come over, they are not going to arrest the commercial boat because the commercial boat's out there all the time. They're buddies, they know everybody, yada yada. They're going to arrest you. Well, they won't arrest you. They're going to give you a speeding ticket because you're the new guy with the boat, yada yada yada. So just keep in mind, stay a little bit under. That way you're safe. Keeps everybody honest. Number 5, speed with limitations. So there are sometimes not just mile per hour limitations, but there are speed limitations due to shallow areas. Maybe there's a bunch of rocks in the water that you're coming up to. Maybe there's wildlife that they're particularly worried about. Something's nesting in the area. Okay, things like that. Number 6, always bring an extra set of keys. A lot of us don't do this. If we have a dual engine boat, usually one key is the same for the other key. Sometimes it's not. Check into that. But the bottom line is always bring an extra set of keys. If you're renting, ask for an extra set of keys. You are not going to lose them while they are sitting in the boat. You're not going to lose them while you're getting into the boat when you're first getting ready to go. You're going to lose them when you go to an island. You pull them out so that the other guy that's been drinking heavily, that's 5 pontoons down, goes over, you wave at him, he waves at you and burps and yada yada. You're taking your keys out, so when that guy sees you leave, he doesn't try to steal your boat. It's when you're getting out of your boat to go onto the island, you're going to drop them in the water, and then you'll find one of them. You'll never find the other one. I don't know why that is, but doesn't matter. Number 7, rope is line and line is everything. Just so you guys know, I own 7 boats, so I've made mistakes. A lot. Number 7, rope is line and line is everything. Okay, so what do I mean by that? When you go on a boat, you don't call a rope, you call a rope a line. A line is what you use to tie yourself off to stuff, tie, anything, up to the boat to go ahead and protect the side of it. It's one of those things that's like the ultimate utility, whatever. So you need to have on a small boat at least 2 ropes. You need to have on, a boat that's like 15, 16, 17 feet, at least 3 ropes. And then as you get more and more and more, you need to have more ropes. So if you got a 60-foot boat, you're probably going to have 10 ropes on it or more, probably more than that. And the reason why is you need to tie off certain areas, you need to put certain bumpers in different areas, and sometimes you just need it, in general. And remember, that doesn't include your rope that's attached to your anchor. That's a totally different setup. Now, let's go to number 8, the anchor. You won't use it, I'm just going to read what I put, just let that sink in. You won't use it if you're new to this. So when you get scared, when you're sitting out there and something bad happens, the engine's making a weird sound, the engine quits, something's not going right, the boat's starting to dip downward. When that happens, normally what we do is we anchor to make sure that we don't, get stuck getting pushed into something. Now, if you've got a lot of wide open area around you, don't worry about it. But most of you guys, you need to know how to anchor. This is too short of a video to teach you how to anchor. Go watch YouTube videos on how to anchor. Learn the different kinds of anchors. And here's the big thing. You need to know weight. You need to know how it's going to grab. Grab the surface that's underneath. So like, is it sand? Is it rock? Is it coral? What is it, right? Hopefully not dolphin. All right, let's go on to the next one. Number 9, make sure you've got a med kit. The med kit doesn't need to be big, but the basics. You cut your arm, yada yada. Remember, there's sea life in the water that likes to eat things that, bleed. So if you're bleeding, maybe, cover it, get something on it, that way it's not an issue. Number 10, med kit expiration. Make sure your med kit is up on, it's not expired, yada yada yada. And here's why. It's not so much for you. Like, let's say if it's expired a year or 2 years, most of the stuff that's in there is still pretty good to go. It just is. But the bottom line is this: when they pull you over to do a safety check, we've had a few safety checks in my lifetime. They give you a sticker though. Sticker's crap, fades. But the bottom line is when they do a safety check, what you need to know is this: they look at the expiration of a couple of things that are on your boat. And the med kit is one of the classic ones that they check. And when they check it, the bottom line is if it's past it, you're going to get a ticket. And then you're going to have to pay it like I always have to. All right, so med kit expiration. Number 11, safety kit, including a working and charged radio. Safety kits do not traditionally include a radio. Always bring a radio with you. Doesn't have to be one of those big ones that you mount on it. Just bring one of those ones that you can keep on your life vest. Very simple. If you're not having a life vest, keep it on your belt. Very simple. Now, those little thingies, the little clips on those, they break on your belt all the time, because when you're on a boat, you're moving around, you're in tight quarters, yada yada. Just be aware you're probably going to break a little clip by day 3. Okay, so safety kit, number 12, expiration. Another thing that they check is the safety kit expiration. Make sure that's up to date. If you're renting a boat, ask them, is the safety kit, is the med kit, are those the expiration dates? Are we good on those? Number 13, Bimini straps with a twist. All right. If you don't know what a Bimini top is, a Bimini top is a cover so that when you're sitting in your boat, you don't end up getting severely tanned if you're chalky white and pasty like me. Very beautiful. The bottom line is what you need to know, okay, when it comes to these Bimini straps, the way a Bimini works, and I gotta put this over here, is that you have a thing that comes up and over, right? And it's this beautiful little cover, and then you have 2 straps that come down here and here. 2 straps here and here. When you attach these straps to the lower parts of the boat, right? It's got a little clip, make sure you put a twist in it and then attach it, because they won't be flapping constantly in the wind then. And that flapping can get really annoying, especially at 40 miles per hour plus. So the bottom line is make sure you put a twist in that, piece of, it's usually like seatbelt material. Make sure you put a twist in that strap and then you clip it on. You won't get the flapping experience. Okay, number 14, more than one cleat always. Use what the boat has if you don't know what you are doing. All right, if you don't know what a cleat is really simple. A cleat is a thing that you tie off to. They come in all kinds of shapes and sizes and whatever, but for the purposes of this, let's just think of it's a thing with a ring on it, or it's a thing that's like this, right? And you can see and they tie it over and they flip it around, they tie it on and pull it, all that jazz. Bottom line is use them. When you're tying up a boat, don't tie up a boat with just one, okay? Because then the boat's butt is going to be all over the place, or the bow is going to be all over the place. So you don't want stern all over, you don't want bow all over, you want this sucker to stay where it's supposed to stay, okay? So if it's a small boat, always use at least 2. The bottom line is that, and here's the thing, if you're someplace and you tie off, and then all of a sudden something happens or somebody hits it, right? It's sad, it's tragic, your boat's got a ding. But what's worse is if your boat no longer is capable of actually going out, that means you're stuck at the location you just boated to and you're relying on somebody else or some expensive sea tow company to go ahead and pick you up. Just think about that. 15, boat bumpers. They come in all shapes and sizes. Cylinder shape, sphere shape, flat shape. My personal favorite, okay? I hate the spheres, right? I absolutely hate them. Those are your circular ones. I hate the weirdly shaped Hershey Kiss looking ones. Those are rare. You won't see those. My favorite are the flat ones, but the flat ones for bigger boats don't work because you need a lot more air and compression. I like the little hull huggers for pretty much anything under 20 feet. You're good to go. They're fun. Just make sure they're thick enough. Don't buy the super cheap ones. When it comes to bigger boats, anything like, 25 foot, 30 foot, like some of the bigger boats that I have, those boats, you need to use the classic cylinder. And the cylinder is basically, whatchamacallit, where you have, it's like this, and it's round going down. Those are good because they'll roll with the boat as it goes back and forth on the dock. However, they are famous for rolling up over the dock or up over the thing you put it against, and then all of a sudden your boat's hitting the thing. So I just tell you that because you're going to have to know how to repaint your boat or work gel coat. Not a big deal. All right, number 16, always have a fisherman's pole on you, okay? Almost all of them now are aluminum and telescoping. You can get them otherwise, but that's pretty much what they all are now. Buy the one with the big hook on one side, arg, and the little hook, arg, on the other side, right? That's what you want. You want the big hook and you want the little hook. The big hook always looks like kind of like a T thingy, and then the little hook is like a cute little thing on the back side. For some reason, 99% of what you run into while you're out at sea or you're boating around or you're trying to do something, that big hook for some reason will not hook onto anything. It's just weird and it doesn't work well and whatever. That little hook works amazingly well, but the one time you need the big hook to push off something, that's what you basically use it for. You get the boat away from something that's bad. 17. Now, just like the fisherman's pole, it's collapsible, it's telescoping. You also have a collapsing paddle. Always have a paddle on you. You may think you might not be able to paddle your boat, but I can assure you, when you're desperate, like I've been sometimes, you go paddle that boat. All right. Number 18, install a fan or bring a fan, like the little Ryobi fans or the ones of those little misty fans. Bring them, because sometimes you'll be out there and you'll just be miserable because it'll be too hot, the sun will be on you, and you won't know what to do. Well, put the fan on you and all of a sudden the entire environment changes. All right, number 19. Have two 12-volt batteries in the boat. Now, I'm not talking about 12-volt batteries. I'm talking about 12-volt batteries. If one goes bad, it's not a problem. You can still start most engines. However, for most diesel engines, you need two. You need two 12-volt batteries. So if you got a situation like that, be able to go ahead and quickly switch, if you're a dual engine, one battery over to the other so that you can draw energy from the other set of two. All right, number 20, have two engines unless 16 foot or less. All right, look, I'm a two-engine person, but if I got a boat that's 16 feet or less, I'm only having one engine on it. Or if it comes with two, fine, whatever, but pretty much you're just going to use one engine. And here's the thing, a lot of these engines, the smaller ones, you can boat all day for 20 bucks. Literally, you can boat all day for 20 bucks. These bigger boats, some of my bigger boats, if I boat all day, it's $500. That's the bottom line, okay? Two engines if it's a bigger boat. Why? You'll get back. If it's a really big boat, three engines. You have your two main ones, you have your smaller one, or the same size one in the middle, okay? And you use that as your trawler, which is a whole different video, too long to go into. All right, 21, if you can't have two, have a kicker or electric trawler. All right, so if you're on a boat, right, you're even on your little itty-bitty boat, have a little electric trawler that you can go ahead and throw in, to go ahead and, get you going. Or have a smaller gasoline outboard. They even have diesel outboards, but those are big puppies. And so what that means is that basically have something that you can physically lift and throw onto the back of it. And if you're looking for something cheap as a good option, the little old outboards, like the 1960s or 1950s ladder, 60s, 70s, those little outboards, they're indestructible. Those things, get somebody to work on it, get it working, repaired, throw that thing on the back, and boy, you are going to have a great time because you'll get home because you've got a kicker, which is a smaller little outboard that's sitting on the back of your boat when your big engine goes out. Okay, 22. Towing is an old man's game. This is the phrase that everybody uses. Versus a young. Towing is not for old men. Towing is for young men. It's a young men's game. What they mean is, like, if you got to throw your boat in, on a trailer, you got to load it on, you got to unload it, you got to launch, you got to pull it back. If you have to do, that's a young man's game. Let me tell you the truth of that. A lot of people will go ahead and tow their boat because they don't live on the water. They got to take it to an actual launch area. I did that for years. Because I've been so successful with the law firm, I am now very pleased to say I own a very big, beautiful piece of property on an island, and I absolutely love it. And I want to thank all of my subscribers, all of my claimants. We worked hard, we won a lot, we're doing great, and thank you guys. You've officially helped me take my boat addiction problem to another level, and we're gonna have to not sell boats. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna take it to 10 boats because it's a nice round number, and I feel like the addiction will end at that point. All right, next thing we need to go through. So anyway, older people, they tend to not to want to go ahead and tow their boat. So what they do, they usually have the bigger boats too, because they're older, they have more money. They usually will go ahead and find a spot, a slip to go ahead and rent or something like that. They'll leave the boat, that's their gig. 23, when you are towing the boat, you got it on a boat trailer, okay? First of all, if it's aluminum, you're probably good. If it's steel or metal, make sure you don't have excessive rust. But let's go back to 23, check your brakes. You either have electric brakes or surge brakes or something like that. The electric brakes are almost, if they're installed by a company, look, here's the bottom line. I don't know why they don't make them do this, but the wire is usually not tinned. It's not like Ancor tinned wire. It's usually just regular wire, which means that the moment one of those wires gets a little nick in it, it's going to start to corrode, it's going to break, and you don't have brakes. I don't know why they didn't do it, but the bottom line is the wiring usually goes bad on these brakes, so do the little connection stuff. And when they build these trailers, even if you get a custom one, they're not sitting there with like the liquid tape and the heat shrinkable this and that. It's just a quick put together thing that they do. So it's not what you think it is. Your brakes will go out. I've been there. I've lost a tire. I've lost a brake. The whole wheel came off one time. If you're wondering who's made all the mistakes, here's the first 200. All right, let's go on to the next thing. 24, check your trailer lights, because people run into boats at night on the highway. They make a box that assists with this. All right, so trailer lights. The worst thing to happen to you is if you have somebody run into your boat. You've just lost your boat. Your boat's now sitting over there. It's destroyed. You're never going to use it again unless you spend a lot of time repairing it, or it's an aluminum boat. And what happens is basically you've now gone through a horrific, tragic experience where you have this heavy thing swerving behind you because somebody ran into it. Now, what are they going to say if they've got a dash cam behind you and your lights weren't working? They couldn't see it. Well, whose fault is it? Oh, legal stuff. Now we get into lawyer stuff. But you can see where this kind of evolves and goes, okay? All right, so make sure your lights are working. They do make a little box. It's like a little box with a battery in it. It's probably about this big. You go ahead and plug in your trailer, your little 4-pin, 5-pin, 7-pin, whatever into it, and then you should be good to go. Okay, so let's go on to the next thing. 25, when docking, go slow. All right, I'm going to tell you why my jet boat has a hole in it right now. Don't treat the experience like a bumper car accident. All right, my jet boat has a hole in it because somebody in my family likes to go ahead and they like to, when they dock, just magically pull in, boop, and just boop. It's perfect. It's right there. That's not how docking works. I want to dispel that. It's not how, when you back up your truck or a bigger vehicle, the way it works is you go as slow as possible. Screw all the people who are making fun of you for going so slow. They don't exist. They're going to die and go to hell. When it comes to docking, the bottom line is when you go and bring it in, you do not get it right next to and right on the spot. You're not getting it perfect. You get it 1 foot to 2 feet away, and then you throw a line over and somebody will pull you over. Or you get 1 foot to 2 feet away, you take the line, you put it over a piling, and you pull yourself in. You do not get right up to the dock until you're a super pro and broken every rule. All right, so that's the bottom line. Don't come in super fast and think you're just going to glide right in. I do that sometimes for the wrong reasons. All right, let's go on to the next one. All right, 26, cross lines over side by side. When you put the boat in, right, here's your cleats on your boat, you cross them. You cross them, okay? This is going to pull it like this is going to pull like this, right? You're not going to go ahead and just have this going back and forth, because then it can go more forward and more back. You cross them. That's how you tie it up. If you want to be really good, you cross them, and then you put one from over here to attach. That way you're not getting as much swing, all right? Now, 27, when you tie them, don't tie them too tight. You got to let the ebb and flow happen. The tide goes up, the tide comes down. There's going to be little wakes that hit it. Give it room as a boat to breathe by not tying your lines too tight. 28, bumpers are sacrificial pawns. Let them die for their country. Their country is their boat. Nobody gives a crap about, what's basically, your bumpers. If one of them gets a ding in it, if one of them gets smacked around, if one of them gets messed up, that's fine. Nobody cares. If you're one of those people that has to have the perfect color with the perfect this and perfect that, remember, they are sacrificial pawns. Let your bumpers die, okay? Your boat's your baby, I get it, but, yada, yada. 29, don't drink and boat. This is very important. Don't drink and boat. Should be simple and straightforward. 30, while drinking and boating, though, remember to drink lots of water, more, obviously, than the alcohol you're drinking. A little bit of reality there. 31, the reflection on the water. Okay, burns the skin and eyes so fast. Now remember, when you're in the water, right, and you're surrounded by water, you're getting the sun, and you're getting the sun from the reflection of the water that's reflecting onto your skin. So you're basically getting like 1.5 times the amount of sun you would traditionally get on land. So just remember, if you're going to SPF it, get the industrial grade. Make fun of your kids, put too much on their face, make a little, clown out of them. 32, most boaters don't know how to anchor. So when a storm hits, watch their boat and your boat, because their boat will start to move, right? And all of a sudden now it's, it was 200 feet away. Now it's 100 feet away. That means you got a problem because their anchor isn't holding because they didn't do what they needed to do. Go watch a video on anchoring and watch other people's boats because they don't know how to anchor as well, okay? There's a lot of YouTubers out there that are going out there and boating for the first time. Well, you don't want to have their cute little boat that they bought for nothing and rebuilt with nothing to go ahead and run into your baby. Just a thought. All right, 33, watch for kayakers. They are the first to be murdered because you can't see them, and we're going to go more into that later. All right, kayakers, I love you. I love you dearly, okay? I especially love the ones that have camo kayaks. You are a moron of epic proportions. You are part of the clan of simpletons. How could you think that if I can't see you, and then of course they got the matching reel tree, right? Oh yeah, they do the whole spiel. Jet boats that go like they're starting, like the engines start to flow well at 40 miles per hour, we can't see you. We can't see you. We can't see you even if we're looking straight at you and you were 200 feet in front of us, 100 feet in front of us. What you need to do is buy the little flag that goes up with the light on it. You won't die then. You won't be murdered and then subsequently go to hell. All right, so 34. Give way to sailboats and big boats. Give way to sailboats. There's the rules of the road, and you're not going to learn it. That's part of the 6-pack to go ahead and become a captain, and there's more details to become a master. The bottom line is this. Give way, meaning allow sailboats to have the benefit of the doubt to pass you, to go around you, yada yada. Okay, they don't have as much control as you think they do. Some of them might be under, motor. Still give them the way because they just don't have that much control. And I know what you think. They got the big fin underneath. They should be able to. There's a lot of people out there buying sailboats cheap right now. Just give them the way. Big boats, okay? They usually have to stay in the center of a lot of canals and stuff like that because their draft, how far their boat goes into the water, how deep it gets, is usually larger than what you have. So remember, give them the way. Also, if they crash into you, you die. If you crash into them, you still die. So the bottom line is give them a little bit of space. Next one, 35. Use a dash cam. If you're new to this, buy one of those cheap $125, $100 dash cams. Put it on the boat. What I like to use for the mounts are the mob armor boat thingies. They're like the little mob armor mounts. Use a dash cam. That way when the kayaker says that, you ran into them and, yada yada, you can show that you couldn't see them. You could show that. All right, 36. Spray double-walled boats with anti-mold on the inside. So what do I mean? There's some boats that have one wall, right? You look in them, that's their one wall. There are some boats that have two walls, right? There's nice fiberglass ones. They got a wall here on the outside. They got a wall here on the inside. Take out a speaker. If you're keeping your boat, take one of those country sprayers. I call them that, but they're really just the farm sprayers. Fill it up with anti-mold, and then shoot anti-mold all up in the double wall of your boat. That'll make the boat smell a lot nicer, last a lot longer, yada yada. 37, install a bilge pump for every 6 feet of boat. I know most of you aren't going to do this, but the bottom line is when you break down in your car, you don't sink. When you break down in the boat, you sink. When you break down in a plane or you break down in, for example, a helicopter and you're over water, you sink. So what are we going to install a bilge pump on? Only boats, because it would be weird to install a bilge pump on a plane. So the bottom line is you're going to install a bilge pump, unless it was an aquatic plane, but we're going to install a bilge pump every 6 feet. Most boats have one bilge pump. Now they have regulations that require so many bilge pumps for so many feet of boat. Always buy the big bilge pump. Always buy more than you need. Okay? We'll go more into that later. All right, 38. Know the difference between a Super V, V, Semi V, C, and flat hull. Understand draft as well. Draft is how far your boat goes into the water. A V hull is a hull that looks like a V. A Super V hull is one that has one of these gigs. So you got Super V, V, you got Semi V, you got C hull, and you got flat hull. Okay? Understand this. The Super V hulls, they're going to cut through the water. They're going to steer really well, but they're not going to come up and go super fast. Okay, let's go all the way to the Semi V. They're going to come up out of the water. You're going to be able to, at speed, high speed, steer really well, right? Because the butt's just hanging in there, the stern of the boat, and the rest of it's up out of the water, and you're going. You're having a good time. That's your jet boat gig. C hulls, those are kind of older school boats that you mostly see nowadays. That's to carry a lot of weight, stuff like that. That's to maximize how much flotation you have. And then flat hulls, those are your John boats. That's if it's not much draft, not much water, you can actually put the boat in. Well, they're going to go ahead and have the best flotation because they're going to go ahead and basically be the most space inside the boat that's not under the water. Okay. 39, propeller versus impeller. This is important to know. And a propeller will kill you horrifically. An impeller will likely not kill you horrifically. A propeller goes on a regular boat. It's a thing that's spinning on the back of the boat. It's the fan. The impeller is on jet boats. That's where you have a fan that is inside a cylinder that you can't easily reach. What that means is that basically if you fell off the back of a boat right where the propeller will have one of the most horrific experiences of your entire life. Google some images. You'll like them. What it will show you are tons of little fan blade marks or just cutting a leg off or whatever. So that's the bottom line. Propellers, they can hurt you. Impellers, unlikely to hurt you. They're inside the boat. They suck water up into them and shoot it out the back just like a jet ski. 40. No safety vest rules. All right, so let's talk about this real quick. Okay, type 1 of the safety vests is like the big vest. It's the big girl vest. It's the, off coast or coastal or whatever vest that you want to go with. That's your ocean vest. If you do something stupid, that vest will go ahead and flip you right side up like this, and your head will be in the proper breathing position because it'll knock your head back a little bit and you'll be able to breathe. That's good if it knocks you out and you still need to breathe. Type 2 flips you over, but your breathing is slightly impeded because it doesn't hold you in the right direction or the right location. Type 3 doesn't flip you over, but you can float. Type 5 is for jet skis, and they look cool. Those are like the thin ones with like those tons of little buckles. I look so good in my buckles. That's what those are. And then basically type 4, that's your lifesavers, your life rings. That's your squares, right? That's where you throw it to somebody who's drowning and hope they figure out how to swim. All right, so that's basically what that one means. Bottom line is, if you have a real problem, you want a type 1. If you're going out jet skiing, you're going to have a type 5. Okay. All right, 41, know your safety vest rules for jet skis. You always have to have one on. You can have basically 1, 2, 3, or 5, but make sure you have it on at all times. 42, jet skiing at night. I'll change that law federally at some time. I just haven't had a chance yet. Jet skis, for the most part, in most locations, state-based, county-based, Fed-based, when they come out with laws about it, the bottom line is you're not supposed to be able to use a jet ski at night. This is moronic because you're allowed to use a miniature dinghy so long as it has the lights and this and that and yada yada. At some point, just realize jet skis will be allowed at night. They're even better than most of the little dinghies that are out there, but the bottom line is, for right now, local rule probably is you can't use your jet ski at night. All right. 43. Don't buy a boat to impress people. Buy a boat that disconnects you from people. You see a lot of people out there boating and having a good time. They are separating themselves from society because they want to have what's called a vacation. I'm on a vacation right now, even though I've worked 80% of the vacation. The bottom line is, make sure you buy a boat for the right reason, and that's to get you away from society so that you can better disconnect, rest, recuperate, and then go back to work and spend all your money in your life on things you probably don't need. All right, next thing, 44, boat views of backyards. All right, the reason to buy a boat is that if you like to go for drives, this is like that, but in order for you to see like fancy areas and nice places, you're never going to see the front of them because they have all the bushes and the walls and the trees and the yada yada and the fences. You have to go boating because in the back you can see their beautiful houses and their beautiful layouts and the beautiful this and the yada yada yada. You can see all this amazing beautiful stuff that you cannot see from the road. So there's something to think about. If you like going for drives, maybe try boating. Go through the backyards, you'll be able to see everything. All right, next one, 45, buy the smallest boat you can stand. That's probably the most important phrase you'll ever hear when it comes to this stuff. A lot of people buy a 50-foot boat and then they downsize to a 35-foot boat. A lot of people that buy a 35-foot boat end up with a 25-foot boat. A lot of people get into the bigger the better yada yada spiel, but when it comes to boats, you want to buy the smallest boat that you can go ahead and basically be okay with. All right, let's go on to the next one. 46, fuel is a real cost, Mr. Prius. I drive a Prius. I also drive an F350 7.3 dually. I'm aware of fuel costs. When it comes to this, fuel. If you want to drive a 32-foot boat and you want to drive it for a large portion of the day, and when I really mean that, I mean just for like 5 or 6, maybe 7 hours, and you're talking about 454 dual engines, you're talking about $500 worth of fuel. So if you're one of those types that's like, I want to buy a boat, but I don't want to spend a lot on fuel, then you better get a small boat, single engine. All right. Number 47, have a ditch bag. If you're a professional, have a ditch bag. It has all the stuff that you need in it. It's everything that you need to survive. It's your food, it's your water, it's your whistle, it's your fire starters, it's your safety gear, it's your little flotation device. Have all that stuff because it will keep you safe when basically bleep hits the fan. 48, have 3 fire extinguishers. Even on like 16, 17, 18-foot boats, have 3. They can be tiny, have 3. Have one by the engine, have one in the middle, and have one in the front of the boat. Have 3 of them. Because when the engine goes and starts lighting on fire, you're not going to get that one. You're not. It's just too hot. It's just too crazy. You got tons of fuel in the boat. The bottom line is you're going to try and put it out quick or jump overboard. Grab them wherever they are, put 3 on it. 49. Engine area, cabinet, and outside. All right, so when you have 3 fire extinguishers, if it's a small little open boat, 1 by the engine, 1 mid, 1 in the front, okay? If you have a boat that's bigger, you put 1 in the engine area, 1 in the cabinet area, where your indoor area, that's your cabin, and then 1 outside that you can easily get to, all right? At least have 3. They also have regulations for how many you have to have for bigger boats. Number 50, check their charge. Those things, after 3 or 4 years, some of the cheaper ones, they lose their charge if they don't have a little dial on them, like most of the little kiddie marine ones. Then swap them out every couple of years. 51, don't use a vacuum to clean up gasoline. If you have a vacuum that's battery operated or not, they have little motors in them that will go ahead and spark, and then you will blow yourself up. That's kind of the bottom line here. Don't use a vacuum to clean up fuel. Unless it's diesel fuel, then it's not really going to matter, because diesel fuel has to be super compressed, it has to be super compressed, or you have to spritz it and then atomize it just to even get that stuff to light on fire. You can have a boat and the whole hull filled with diesel, smoke a cigarette, throw it into the boat, it's not going to light on fire. 52, hats fly off at speed. So what you need to know about that is that if you're taking your really nice Rugby Ralph Lauren 2004 edition little skull hat, your baseball style cap, you're going to lose that hat pretty much within the first 20 minutes. All right. And then when you turn around to go get it, they don't float. They just don't float. They drop right to the bottom. You're never going to find it again. 53, wear sunglasses or goggles. Sunglasses are good, goggles are better. Why? Because if you're going really fast, the goggles won't flip off your head. These puppies will fly up this way. Or if you're going really fast and you turn like this, they're going to whip right off your face. Okay, remember, it's like driving a car. If you stuck your head out of the window of a car at 50 miles per hour, guess what's going to happen to your sunglasses? All right, next one, 54. Don't take your friends on the first time out that you rent a boat or that you buy a boat. Don't take them. They're stupid. They're drunk. You know they're idiots. That's why they're your friends, because they make you feel good about yourself. Just kidding. But 54, it's a very good point. Don't take your friends out on the first time that you go out with the boat. Get to learn the boat, respect the water, respect all the bad things you have yet to do and that you're going to skip doing. 55, don't take your wife on the first time out. I don't have one of those, so I don't worry about it. But the bottom line is, the first time you go out when you're doing it, don't take your wife. She'll have a horrible time. It'll ruin the experience. And then when it comes time to use your shared account to buy a bigger, better boat, guess who's not going to be voting yes? Which is terrible. I can't believe she would do that to you. 56, don't take your dog on the first time out. I know that you think you're amazing, but your dog loves you and does not realize you're an idiot. That's the bottom line. Your dog loves you, but does not realize you are a complete idiot when it comes to, mechanical objects. So the bottom line is, second time, third time, fourth time, maybe fifth time, that's when you bring them out, when you know what you're doing and you can watch them more, okay? Because they're going to do stupid shit too. 57, bring a rain jacket with wind protection, okay? Bottom line is, when you're out there, especially in Florida, rain clouds, rainstorms, they come out of nowhere. Hurricanes come out of nowhere. These things are, 2 days ago, and then all, poof, here we go, class 3, yay. All right, next thing, 58, sailors do not wear, they don't wear knitted sweaters at sea unless you are good looking, like me, and fashionable, like me. I'm on a vacation, shut up, wink wink. It will make her happy, hey, until she starts bitching about, I can't say that on here, yeah, okay, so we're gonna skip what I put down here. The bottom line is, when it comes to, sailing, people don't actually wear knitted sweaters unless it's a cabin boat. And here's the thing, when it comes to women in cabin boats, they like the humidity low. They like the AC on until it starts raining and it's too cold, and then they like the heat on. Remember, you're going out into a hostile environment. If you have tons of money, you'll have an eco control system in the cabin, yada yada, that's fine, yada yada. But for most of us, we can't afford that, or we'll just install it later when it's apparently important to her, whatever. Number 59, check your boat lights, right? So make sure that you've got your your red and your greens up front. Make sure you got your your all around in the back. The all around is just, it's a stick, and then there's a light on top, lights all around, okay? You're going to need that for night. You're going to need that for basically crappy situations with rain. You're going to need it for crappy situations when it comes to lots of stuff, all right? And the green and red lights, what that tells somebody that's looking at you, so if there's a boat over here, right, then I know if I see a red light, then I know that their boat is going this way, unless they're reversing, but it's most likely going this way because port is red, red is left. Green, it's on the right side, right? Starboard. All right, so the bottom line with that is that you're going to know based upon which light you're seeing which way they're going. If you're seeing both lights, that means they're coming straight at you. You've made a poor choice in life. Here comes the Darwin Awards. All right, next thing, 60, get a solar trickle charger. They're really cheap. You can buy them at Harbor Freight. You can buy them online on eBay, even cheaper. Put them in a plastic bag, leave them on the boat. You're going to use it when you get to a port to charge a 12-volt battery. Very important. 61, carry a plug-in trickle charger with extension cord. You can do that, you know, same deal, get to a port, charge up, yada yada. The solar one, I guess you just leave it out, go from there. Actually, yeah, the solar one you're just going to install on your boat, that way you're good to go. You'll see it on a lot of real boaters stuff. They'll have a big solar panel the whole gig, charge their stuff. All right, next, 62, carry extra oil and fuel. I always carry an extra thing. If it's a small boat, I carry one of those little things of extra pre-mixed oil and fuel. Or if your boat system uses fuel and oil separate, make sure you carry 2 of those. If it's a bigger boat, make sure you carry a 5-gallon just to be able to throw it in. If it's a really big boat, carry at least, you know, a 50-gallon extra thing that you can go ahead and tuck into a corner. That's for like bigger boats. But that's like, you know, because remember, they go through gallons. Like, you know, we're not talking hours here. We're talking like minutes here. All right, so next thing, 63, add extra accessories by learning 12-volt. 12-volt is so easy to wire, but use marine fittings and use Klein tools when you crimp them. The bottom line is a poorly crimped wire means you're not going to be able to get access to the utilization of that particular 12-volt fixture. You want to be able to use that. And that might be, for example, your GPS. That might be, for example, a light. That might be, for example, a fan. That might be, for example, the starter switch for your engines, yada yada. 64, just use 12 volt, not 24 volts if possible. Motors are more efficient now and everything is going solely to 12 volt. So here's the bottom line. A lot of people think that they need to have better 24 volt. And you can for big boats, but the thing is really, you want to stick with 12 volt if you can, because everything's becoming more efficient, requiring less energy, and at the end of the day, it's just, you know, it's easier to have 2 good batteries that are pushing out 12 volts than to have, you know, basically 2 12-volt batteries that are pushing out 24 volts. You really just want to be able to go ahead and use 12 volts. It's just the better way to go forward because everything's becoming more efficient electronically, and you really only need 12 volts to push it, you know, and the more amperage you can push through it, the better. 65, be careful with drugs on a boat and people who bring them onto your boat, right? Because sometimes you can get trouble when people bring drugs onto your boat, and then you have to push them overboard and then drive away while the cops are chasing you. That's how it works. All right. Number 66, be careful with electrical stuff on a metal boat. Obviously, you get some zapping, grounding issues, but metal boats are superior hulls, specifically aluminum boats, are just the way to go. 67, know the boaters by their boat. Look up on YouTube videos about types of boaters. If you've seen those videos about people that basically like, these are the 7 people you're going to run into if you go to Coney Island and, you know, you're into Italian food. The bottom line here is know what types of boaters you're going to run into based upon the type of boat that they have. It's stereotyping, and you better do it because you need to figure out exactly who they are as a person, right? Because that's how they're going to dictate, that's how they're going to drive, that's how they're going to sail their boat. All right. Let's see, next one, 68. Always panic in neutral. Always panic. So, forward, I'm going someplace. Neutral, I'm not going anywhere. Reverse, I'm going backwards. Something's coming. Throw it into neutral and panic in neutral. There's a problem. Throw it into neutral, panic in neutral. Only if you really know your stuff should you throw it into forward and get the heck out of there immediately. Next one. 69. If someone cuts you off, let it go. If somebody cuts you off with their boat, let it go. Just let it go. They're probably an idiot. They're probably just, you know, this is their one day off and they don't understand that they're living on this earth with other people. Just let it go. 70. If someone tries to board your boat and cause you harm, utilize your weapon. Most people have a weapon with them when they're on their boat, okay? That's why you see a lot of people that are out there, you know, if somebody looks like they're causing problem or drama or whatever, all of a sudden they're going into a cabin or a little thing because they're either pulling out a knife or a gun or whatever. It's important for you to be trained on how to protect yourself. If you own a boat and something happens, we may never find your body, so it's better for you to own a gun and be able to protect yourself from somebody who might want to try to harm you, okay? Number 71, don't think your boat can't sink. Learned that one, didn't we? 72, don't think a sand ledge won't find you. Her name is Sandy. Wink, wink, she's there. 50 feet in on a ledge in alligator and snake-infested waters, quite literally with snake nests and alligator nests just right over there. So that was a horrific experience. We will never do that again. Know your draft and don't get cocky. Some of you guys are like, my boat can draft 12 inches, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it can at speed, but the moment you slow down, all of a sudden that thing's going to sink back lower and you're going to be stuck, like me. A couple times. All right, anyways, let's go to the next one. 75, you are able to afford what you need. Oh, no, sorry, 74, you're going to be able to afford what you want. You aren't going to be able to afford what you want. So the bottom line is everybody wants a super yacht. That's not what you need to enjoy. You could literally take a $200 John boat into the water and have an amazing time. You don't need a super uber extra mega wower boat. You don't need it. You need a boat that's going to be easy, fun, and just something that makes you happy. Okay? 75, you are going to be able to afford what you need, which is good. 76, bug bomb the boat before a long travel session. If you're like going on like the big loop, or you're going on some big, I'm going down the coast of Maine, whatever, bug bomb the boat ahead of time. That way you're not going to run into issues while you're actually going. And remember, these bug bombs are total crap. So you got to put a couple in there, put them off, maybe wait a week, do another one, yada yada. Then you got to really air out the boat. Open all the hatches, yada yada. 77. Keep a copy that states copy registration and title on your person on the boat. Have that stuff on you so when you get pulled over, you can hand to them, say, I am the legal owner, I have legal possession, I'm not a drug runner from a beautiful, beautiful island, yada yada. All right, next one. All right, 78. Don't wave at the fisherman boats. They don't care. The fishermen don't care. Don't wave at them. They just don't care. If you wave at them, they'll know that you're an idiot. So don't wave at them. 79, don't expect to sleep well on a boat for the first 2 months. If you're sleeping on a boat, all this little up and down, it's going to be a problem. So that's kind of the problem with that issue. 80, don't just have one anchor. You need a minimum of 2 anchors. You always need 2 anchors. They can be itty bitty ones for a small boat, but you always need 2 anchors. One goes for the front of the boat, that keeps the boat nose. One goes for the back of the boat, that goes from the stern, not swinging all over the place. All right? Next one. Let's go to the next one. 80. 81. Don't let people drive your boat. They will crash it, screw it up. It's expensive to fix it. Don't let people drive your boat. 82. Buy insurance on your boat and the people you'll run over, meaning kayakers. Hate them. 83, even though I own, doesn't matter. 83. Don't buy a new boat, just not over 20 years. All right, so when it comes to buying a boat, don't buy a showroom boat. You're going to overspend by thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars. You buy a boat that's 5, 10 years old, but after 20 years, you better know how to do wiring, because that wiring starts to go bad because all that plastic on the outside of it, all that coating starts to break and crack, and then all of a sudden your wiring is going bad. You can do it if you're me. That's what I do. I buy boats that are usually around 20 years plus, and then I refurb them, and then I've got the nicest boat out of everybody that's driving around that spent 18 times as much as I did. But that's because I learn things, and I pick things up and put things down, and I'm a lawyer on the side. Yada yada. All right, next thing. 84. Don't buy a fancy sound system. All right, I bought the Wet Sounds Wowie Dowie sound system. Yeah, it sounds incredible. Yeah, they're really, really loud. I don't like loud music. Yeah, it sounds incredible. Yay for me. But the little combo things, they work just fine. You're not going to put it that loud. If you're putting it that loud, you're ruining your ears. 85. Spend heavily on freshwater conversion systems. No for the crap you don't need. If you're going to spend money on the freshwater conversion system, because if you break down in the middle of some area, you at least have fresh water, which will keep you alive a very long time, especially if you've got your sea biscuits to go ahead and eat while you're out there. 86, you will be scared in the first rainstorm. If it's a Florida rainstorm or a nor'easter or like a California, wower, yeah, you'll be scared. But most rainstorms are not a big deal. Yes, your hull will fill up. Yes, your bilge pump will start squirting out water. That's not a big deal. 87, boats move even while anchored, so watch the tail spin, right? That's why we have the anchor that goes out the back. But also watch it. It can only go so far, right? So here's the trick and the problem. If you get a real big squall that comes out of nowhere, Florida, the problem is that all of a sudden, your boat is anchored in the front. Your tail is pushing. You got another anchor that's holding it, which is normally good. Doesn't spin too much. But if a squall comes and pushes it, it's going to push water up over the side of it. Which is why, if you have a low hull boat, low sides to your hull, you're going to swamp your boat. Just as a heads up. It's not fun to swamp a boat. And then you got to basically replace a bunch of the stuff because you got seawater all over it. Okay, 88. Fishing is not always a sure thing, so bring other food to keep you going. Yeah, everybody's like, I'm going to go catch a couple frying pan sized fish. I'm going to eat them on the thingamajiggy. Sure. 89. Most wildlife, sea life will run and swim away. Most wildlife, sea life will run and swim away. 90. If it's 2/3 the size of you, it will be more aggressive towards you and try to eat you. If you see an alligator, you see a giant animal, leave it alone. It's probably not going to care about you. Don't get too close to it. Stay away from it. All right. 91. Islands contain unique bugs that bite. Don't think you're used to their saliva or venom. Every time you go to a unique island, the bugs on it, I don't know what the deal is. They're different. They look the same. The mosquitoes look the same. They bite you. You get a horribly different reaction. It's just the way it is. Spray yourself down with the bug repellent. And in Florida, for some reason, some of those mosquitoes, they don't care at all. They're going to eat you. They're going to eat you alive, and that's it. 92. Buy rounded toe shoes with rubber over the toe. All right, so here's the kicker. 93. When exiting the boat, you got to watch out for what you're stepping into. Sometimes you can see what's in the water. Sometimes you can't see what's in the water. But more importantly, see what's under the sand that you're stepping into. If you jump out with bare feet, you're going to do what I did, and you're going to break one of your toes because you're going to put your foot down, and it's going to go right into a shell, and you're going to break your toe, and it's going to ruin your day. Just pour some alcohol in it. Anyways, next one. 94. Always bring extra water as wound wash. Always bring extra water as wound wash. 95. Don't befriend wildlife. They don't think you are cool or pretty. They want to eat you or eat something that you have. 96. Wear rubber boots and be uncool. Sometimes I go out there with galoshes, and I love it. It's just easier to tromp around and kick around and have a good time. You don't have to worry. You can walk in the water. You can walk in the puddles. You can have a good time. That's what I like to wear. But I'm uncool. I go to Maine because I like to be outside, and those are the uncool people. It's so nice up here. All right, next one, number 97. You aren't alone in the water. Never forget that. Okay, a lot of people will make videos, we're in the water, and then they'll show their GoPro later, and it'll be like a great white shark, in 15 feet of water, and it's like 20 feet away. You're never alone in the water. Totally different ecosystem, and you are always at a disadvantage. 98. What happens when you get pulled over and the safety sticker all right, so here's the deal. If you're speeding or you do something wrong, here comes Coast Guard, here comes Sheriff, here comes police, here comes the cop boat. Cop boats, first thing they'll do is they'll pull up to you, give me your information. Now we're going to do a safety check. They're going to ask you questions. Okay, do you know what the 4 speeds are? Or, what are the 3 main speeds? Do you know what this is? Do you know what that is? Let me see your expirations. Where's your anchor? Where's your horn? Where's your this? Where's your that? Do your lights work? You go through all that jazz. Then you get a piece of paper that you have to go ahead and pay. Or you can fight it, if you really didn't do something, but pretty much they're only going to pull you over if they know you. Here's the big thing to watch when they pull you over. These guys are macho, egotistical, and what they do is they don't watch what the back end, the stern of their boat is doing, and usually the stern of their boat will have these big metal tubes that are protecting their engines. Well, that stern of their boat will go ahead and smack right into your boat. And your boat, I can almost assure you, does not have metal protection around its engines or the stern of it, which means that you're going to get a huge big ding. And you know what they're going to say? So sorry, so sad. Which is why you then learn how to go ahead and repair fiberglass and gel coat. Because so sorry, so sad, that's part of the gig. All right, next one. 99. Ask other boaters to help you launch for the first time. We were all there, and we all bribed that kid to erase a video of it from YouTube. So here's what you need to know. When you're there and you're launching it for the first time, trust me, boaters get it. We'll go over, we'll hold the lines on the boat, we'll push it off for you, we'll help you. We understand. It's not like riding a bicycle. It's like riding a tricycle. It's a little weird. It's a little different. The first time you do it, you're scared, but the second time you do it, you're still shitty at it. But that's okay. By the 5th time, you'll have it. All right. 100. We made it halfway. Don't try to dock between boats when you are just starting. All right. So you know how you're like a super pro driver and you're taking your excursion. You're like, I'm going to go ahead and parallel park over there. None of you do that. None of you do that. Not a single one of you does that. Okay, I'll parallel park an F350 dually, but I'm comfortable with it because I'm in a lot of big trucks and things like that all the time. You guys, don't do it. Don't take your boat. Don't try to wiggle it in. If you want to try and go ahead and bring it out, throw a rope and have them pull you in, that's cool. Only if you know what you're doing, try to go ahead and parallel that puppy in. Otherwise, you're going to end up banging everybody's boats. They're going to hate you at the restaurant. That's how it is. 101. Realize you don't know enough. The reason I don't fly planes is because financially I'm spending money on other stuff right now. called boating. And the bottom line is, you know, if you screw up with that, you end up literally going splat on the ground. So the bottom line is, when it comes to all this stuff, it's very important. Realize you don't know everything. Don't be egotistical. Approach this like you're about to fly a plane. Don't do it like I did, where you jump in, you don't have a line, you're just going to wing it, you just bought a boat, here we go. Learn as much as you can about it. I hope this is your springboard, because these are all the stupid things I wish I had known when I first started. 102, don't bring your dogs and cats on the boat. Okay, so we already kind of covered this, but let me tell you a little bit more about this whole dog and cat thing. The dogs and cats like to jump off the boat, and they almost always jump off the back of the boat, which is a problem because there's propellers in the back of the boat. Also, when it comes to this situation, you have to have amenities for your animals, because the bottom line is they're going to go ahead and need extra water, extra food, they're going to need lots of shelter, they're going to get hot. You need to take care of them. They don't have a choice. They're there because of you. Okay, so you're going to have to make choices for them that benefit them. All right, 103. When you go to the dock, you get beside the dock and stop. All right, so we already covered a little bit of this. Actually, we're going to swap this question out for one I added a little bit later. All right, here's one we're going to swap out. 201, so we'll bring that in. Bring bribe money in case something bad happens. It's the cheapest version of a legal settlement you can achieve with kayakers. That's the bottom line here, is bring bribe money, because the thing is, when you're out there and something bad happens, people seem to be pretty cool with it if you just give them a $100 bill. Hey, here's a $100 bill, da 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 da, okay, fine, yada yada yada. They're cool with it. Even if it's not enough to fix it, it gets them a lot closer. Bad things happen, and it's better than them saying, oh, blah, blah, blah. If they say, well, I'll take 200, just be like, look, this is what I have. Just, you know, work the deal. 104. Know what types of cleats there are and how to tie off to each one. All right, so this is really important. There's cleats that are basically just a pole in the ground. You're going to wrap it around, then flip it under, pull it tight, wrap it around, flip it under, pull it tight. Then there's the cleats that are like, you know, where you've got like the little thing that sticks up here. What I like to do is you either go ahead and, you know, you go up and under and up and under and up and under, and then you, in this one, you flip it around so that you can tie itself under it. Just watch a video on how that stuff works. I'm not going into it all, but how to tie off to a cleat, it's super important. It's very important. All right. 105, bring ice in your ice chest. And let me tell you this about the cleat thing. If you don't tie it off right, it's going to pull out, and all of a sudden your boat's going to be somewhere you don't want it to be. And that's a terrible feeling, because when you park your Prius doesn't leave you. It's not going to leave you. But when you go ahead and put your boat in the water and you don't tie it off right, it will leave you stranded 4 days on an island. Just amazing, amazing times. All right, next thing, 105, bring ice in your ice chest. It will save your life. Basically, when you run into really bad situations, ice is one of those things that can actually save you. It is water, it is cool, it will keep you going. 106, bring a foldable shovel and toilet paper. They make these really cool survival shovels that have all these tools that are in the handle. Bring one. And here's what you're going to use it for. When you're like egotistical and you get stuck on a ledge because, you know, your draft, oh, I can do that, no problem, hey, everything's good. Yeah, no. You're going to get out of your boat, you're going to start digging your boat out, and it's going to take you forever. And for 2 hours of your life, you're going to go ahead and save your boat and bring it out. 107, buy extra washers and nuts when working on something. If you're going to work on your boat and it's in the water, buy extra washers and nuts when working on it. 108, buy extra washers, nuts, and bolts when working on something in deep water. 109, buy extra washers, even more washers, nuts, and bolts if you're afraid to retrieve said fasteners. You chicken, I want to see. Okay, so here's the deal. You need to, and I can't read some of these things because they're not appropriate, but you need to realize if you are working on something mechanical in your boat, you're going to drop something. You might drop it off the side of the boat. If it's deep water, you're not going to go get it. So just buy more of the 316L hardware that you need. Number 110, here's what you need to know. Know the difference between galvanized, steel, and also 304 stainless, 316 stainless, 316L stainless, and aluminum. All right, so here's what you need to know. 316 stainless, that's marine grade stainless. 316L stainless, that is surgery stainless. That's the stuff that they put in your body, that's a surgical steel. If you have 316 or 316L stainless, that's not going to rust. But 304 stainless, the stuff that you buy that's like, oh, I bought the stainless steel knife and the fork and that stuff is going to rust even if you put it in the water. What do you mean some stainless steel rust? Most stainless steel rust. You need 316 or 316L. Aluminum does degrade over time. It will go ahead and basically, you know, you'll see it starting to eat away the metal and things like that, but aluminum is pretty much the way to go when it comes to most boats. Steel boats, you got to stay on top of them all the time, repaint their hull, you know, anti-fouling paint, all that jazz. Galvanized, that stuff lasts 10 years, and then basically you're looking at the next couple of years of replacing it. I know everybody's like, oh, galvanized. No. The problem with galvanized is that you get 10 years out of it, max, maybe 11 or 12, and then that's it. You got to replace it. You got a 316 thing, you use it for the rest of the time. But realize with stainless steel, it will gall when you have to screw stuff together, and you might get stuck with that. Just heat it up, you can usually pull it apart. 111, know the difference between a ladder that will hold and a ladder that won't hold. Look at the ladder, look at the rungs. Is it wood? Is it aluminum? What are we looking at? How's the welding look? Stuff like that. 112, if you live in a southern state or haven't been on the boat for a while, hose it down from a distance for wasps, bees, hornets to show themselves. So when you haven't been on your boat for a while, especially in a state like Florida or things like Texas, there's a lot of winged bugs that will go ahead and live on the boat. And when you come back and say, I am now taking repossession of this boat, they're going to say, hell no. Okay. 113, if you encounter hornets or wasps, jump into the water and figure out your next step from there. 114, if there's a snake in the boat, don't jump into the water. You're just helping them win. Don't jump into the water, because if they jump out, they're in a way better situation than you are. All right. 115, if bleeding, stay out of the water. It attracts more than just great white sharks, Hollywood and megalodons, Bollywood, all that jazz. 116, not all mosquitoes care about Deets, so realize getting bites is part of the gig. You're going to get bit when you go out there. Bugs bite you. You know, wear a bee suit if you're really that afraid. 117, if someone says that they are borrowing the boat or renting the boat, always give them the right of way to pull out or pass or whatever. Their stupidity and lack of experience are epic level crappery. So what you need to know is this: if somebody's renting a boat, always let them go first. They don't know what they're doing. Just let them have their fun day. You own a boat. You're going to be out another day. Just give them the right of way. You don't want to have them run into it. Because when they run into it, here's what happens. They freak out and go like this, and then it becomes worse. 118, that means throttle up. Most boaters are nice people. However, the following categories don't want to be bothered: sailboaters who are older and anglers who look busy. Don't talk to them. Don't wave to them. They're usually pissed off. I don't know what the problem is, but they're too busy to deal with you. And if they're a sailboater, you should just learn how to sail. I don't want to. All right, next one. 119, just because your dog loves you doesn't mean they're going to love boating. They may ditch you for the dolphins, so don't be surprised, but watch the propeller. So you have to check with your dog ahead of time, and the way you do it is this. The way you get your dog to go ahead and be okay with the boat is to bring them onto the boat while it's docked and very, very, regular, simple. There's no storms, there's no rain. And then you start to bring them out more and more, and then you bring them out in a light rainstorm, a heavy rainstorm, you get them used to it, okay? You don't just slap a sticker on their vest that says, I be seaweed, and then shoot them right into the cabin and say everything's going to be fine. All right, 120. Gasoline boats are always less superior than diesel boats because a single spark will likely kill you. You could pee fire on diesel and it won't ignite. However, most of you guys, you're afraid of diesels. That's what big scary trucks have. No, that's what good trucks have. The bottom line is if you can buy a diesel boat over a gasoline boat, that is the superior. I'm taking the gasoline engines out of my 32-foot all aluminum cabin cruiser with flybridge, and I'm swapping them out for 2 diesels. All right. 121, you never have enough fire extinguishers. When shit hits the fan, you're going to use one up, you're going to go to the other one, you're going to because you're going to have these stupid little kitty ones. So just realize when you're spraying, spray and look. Spray and look. No spray and pray, okay? Okay, 122, if you have a cabin boat, you need to... Okay, we already went through that, so I'll go ahead and grab another one from the aft section. 202, don't wear expensive jewelry. So look, ladies, here's the thing. You guys, you think we care, guys, that we care about what kind of jewelry you have on you. We don't. We don't. We don't care at all. It could be a cubic zirconia. It could be a beautiful... We don't care. You don't bring expensive jewelry on a boat because you're going to lose it and expect us to go get it. We're not going to. Wear crap jewelry, all right? We might be pushed, and we don't want to, though, all right? All right, let's see. All right, 123, save your microwave meals for rough weather days because it's easier to cook in calm water. If you're out there and it's all over the place, it's hard to cut up food, it's hard to do stuff, it's hard to cook. So the bottom line is, save your microwavable wheels for rough weather days. 124, when something bad happens, realize you can't always fix it right away. So think, and plan ahead of time. There's a lot of things that can happen on a boat. Buying resources for those, safety gear, and remember, your little safety kit, that's bull. Most of them don't even come with like a gun to fire a flare. They're just like hey, realize that's the best investment you can make because you'll be stuck out there for a while if you don't. 125, understand tonnage. Tonnage is like the ton of weight. Oh, it's a 2-ton chassis. It's a 3-ton chassis. It's a 1/4-ton chassis. It's a little boat. It's a big boat. It's a little truck. It's a big truck. At least at a low level, understand tonnage. An F350 dually is a 5-ton vehicle. Some of these 35-foot boats are 10 tons, but don't look at it like that, because they don't look very big. But that's because the cabin, right, is only part of it. There's got a huge hole that's under the water. So that's a lot of tonnage. And realize if that runs into you, it's instant death. Instant death. 126, always carry water, weld, or putty with you. It's the quick fix for captain errors, or what I like to call first mate stupidity. The bottom line is you're going to take your water weld and you're going to put it on the hole where you put a hole in the hole, okay? All right, next one, 127. Don't believe the warranty on the bilge pump. Year 2 means it's about to poop out. Some of them even say like gold, 5 years. That's bull. After 2 years, they're getting ready to crap out. Have extras on board. All right, next thing. 128. Outside ropes last 3 years and need to be constantly checked after that because they get brittle. They get this like fibrous brittle thing to them. Your outside lines, that you're using. Inside ropes last a long time, but they lose their dye or color on things. So they kind of bleed their color onto the surface that they're laying on. 130. Teak will give you splinters if it's older, so wear shoes. 131. When on a big yacht, there are courtesy lights. But on smaller ones, there aren't courtesy lights. So look at the layout of the boat while it's still light out. That's one of the big things. If you can learn like where things are on a boat when it's still light out, that's a really good thing. Otherwise, it's a problem. All right, next thing that you want to go through. 132. Don't think you can save someone that falls over. Throw them the ring or the square first, then a rope if it's not already attached, then figure out what's your next best move, okay? 133. All right, so when it comes to bringing women onto a boat, it's very demanding about things they might want to have, things they might want to do. That's amazing. That's awesome. But the bottom line is you should be boating for yourself and not for other people. All right, so here's the next thing. 134. Don't ditch your trash on the islands. So they are their own ecosystem, right? So how hard is it for you to bring a bag, right? It's super simple. It's not a big deal. Just bring a bag, throw your trash in. You get back, there's usually a trash at the ramp. You can throw it in the trash bin. 135. When you go to clean teak, use a 500 grit to do a quick once over if it doesn't need to be reshaped. Don't use those, don't use the stainless metal sponge thingies. They don't work. Just use sandpaper. All right, Teak's on boat because teak does not go ahead and rot. 136. When you clean teak, use the cleaner, the brightener, and then the oil. The Waco oil is nice, but the Kona stain, well, here's what you do to get a good teak look. Use 1/3 Kona oil or Kona wood stain, and you use 1/4 Watco tea oil. It gets you a nice dark stain that lasts a really long time. 137. Don't forget to put your clear coat or lacquer on the marine grade on the teak. Make sure you use marine grade lacquer and or clear coat. Okay, 138. If you're going to bring electronics, make sure you put them in a waterproof case. This is super important. The waterproof cases aren't that expensive. They're cheaper than your electronics, so if you have to replace your electronics, that's why. Okay. 139. If you have items with a copper finish or silver finish, they might corrode. Only the gold fittings hold up if newer. So it's really important. Remember, when it comes to this stuff, if you got gold fittings, it's probably not going to corrode. But remember, the wind, it blows the seawater, and then all of a sudden you've got a problem because, you guessed it, it got inside the actual electronic device. All right, 140. Don't rely on these non-skid finishes on boats. When they get wet, you'll slip and die. The point is, like, some of these things that they put on boats, they're pretty good. They're granular and stuff like that, but and some of them are thicker, they're matty. But most of these non-skid, non-slip finishes, don't rely on them. The moment that thing gets wet, you're going to slip and slide all over the place. 141. Remember, a hand for the boat and a hand for yourself, aka beer or whatever. So here's the deal. When you're on a boat, a hand for the boat, hold yourself to the boat. A hand for yourself, use it for whatever you need to. All right, next thing, 142. When out on the boat, eat things that have low salt and high water. 143. If you don't wear sunglasses, but here's what's going to happen. When you're out there, we already talked about the sun. It's coming down on you, reflects against the water, the reflection's hitting you. Your eyes will get this kind of haze to them. It usually takes a day. So wear sunglasses that block specifically UV light and all that jazz, so that when you're, polarized is usually better, so that when you're on the water, you don't get that glaze. All right. 144. Just do a quick Google search. Being the last time there was a shark attack at your beach, just do it. You'll be really happy to find out that there hasn't been, or really sad to find out that it's been really recent. It may surprise you. 145. Know the difference between inboard, outboard, and jet boats. Inboard, the engines are in the boat. Outboard, the engines are sitting on the back of the boat. They're just hanging on the back of the boat. Jet boat, The jet boat has the engines in the boat and the water gets sucked up into the boat. There's no propeller on the outside. Inboard, outboard, that's where the engines are in the boat. And then you have this weird little like contraption on the back of the boat that you can lower and raise. It's like a hybrid between inboards and outboards. All right, so just look up inboard, outboard. You'll see what the weird thing is. Most people, pretty much nobody uses them anymore. All right, let's go to the next thing. 146. Know that kayakers are the first to accidentally get murdered. And here's why. You can't see them, you can't hear them, and a lot of them are getting paddles that basically are all black. If you're going to get a paddle, make sure it's red or orange or yellow. If you're going to get some sort of vest, make sure it's red or an orange or yellow. If you're going to get a kayak, make sure it's red or orange or yellow. Okay? Just do it. 147. By the way, kayakers buy the damn flag. Okay, so here's the thing. Remember how we talked about the flagpole? There's a flag that goes on these kayaks. It's a little thing. Basically what it does is it gets mounted, goes way up, has a little orange flag at the end of it, and a light on top. Just buy it. We can't see you at night. We can't see you at dusk. We can't see you at dawn. Just buy it. 148. Women and hats. Women like to wear big rimmed hats. You're never going to hold on to it. It'll be gone within the first 10 minutes. 149. Most boaters at the launch are cool till you bump their boat. Bumping somebody's boat is like saying somebody's an asshole or insulting them. It's just realize once you've done that, you're never going to be cool with that person ever again unless you buy them something. 150. Know your different bumpers. All right, we already went through that, so I'm going to grab one from the back. I prepared, but not that much for this. 203. What are the 4 C's of diamonds? It's funny. That's part of that whole expensive jewelry. Anyways, 204. No, 205. It's almost always at least 5 degrees colder at sea, so bring a sweater or bring a coat or something that is made for an aquatic environment that can have rain pop off of it. Okay. All right, next one, 151. Know your guns. Know the guns you need for small boats and something stainless like the Taurus Judge. Taurus Judge is a great gun for a boat because it allows you to shoot shotgun shells and a handgun and also 45s. So you can really do some good stuff by protecting your boat from distance or up close. Okay, 153. Know the difference. Know the different countries have. Know that different countries have different rules. So if you're wondering if you want to go to like the Bahamas, you want to go to this island or that island, they're all usually different countries. So in that instance, the bigger islands, you need to go ahead and basically make sure that you know all the rules and regulations. Just Google it. You're not going to just magically show up. Just Google it. Know where you need to bring your passport. Okay. 155. The only proper second response to what are you going to use the boat for after buying it is to remember that you buy whatever the smallest boat is that you will be comfortable doing, what your boating intentions are, and we already covered that. Man, I have a lot of repeats in here. No worries, let's go on to another one. 206. Make sure your nails are trimmed because they snag on the ropes and tear little chunks off of your nails. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay, coming to the end, guys. 156. Don't eat heavy Italian meals without a working 12-volt powered toilet on board. It's just how you're going to do it. 157. Out of the tanks that get filled up first on a boat. Okay, so we have tanks on boats. We have to fill them up with things. Some of them drain things. Some of them go ahead and have things. So the bottom line is, out of the tanks that get filled up first on a boat, that would obviously be the gray shower water. Okay. 158. The reason being that people just pee overboard in the black water tank. If you have a separate one, gets close to being full, we just take it to an area and we get it pumped. But the bottom line is that takes longer to get filled. 159. The tank that gets emptied first is usually the ice. A lot of people don't think about that or realize it, but the ice will go ahead and disappear over time. 160. The tank that gets emptied second is the fuel. 161. The tank that gets emptied third is the food. 162. 61 and 62. The tank that gets emptied the last is the water because most people have a water conversion system on board. 163. The first worst thing that can happen on a boat is a propane explosion accident. The pressure will mush your brain through your ears and your cognitive abilities will be gone. 164. The second worst thing that can happen on a boat is a gasoline leak and explosion. The burns are third degree. They're terrible and many times people die. 165. The third worst thing that could occur is that you'd be sinking and subsequently get a visit from a shark. That would be a terrible thing. 166. The fourth worst thing would be getting boarded by terrorists. Okay, just line them up. 167. The fifth worst thing would be meeting a Class 5 hurricane with a small slow trawler or a small sailboat. 168. When jet skiing, bring extra fuel on a 1 gallon, like one of those little 1 gallon containers. unless then basically you're okay with, running out. Now, most people when they're renting, you're not going to run out of fuel. But if you're really jet skiing, they have these little roto pack thingies. Just bring 1 gallon of fuel. That way you're good to go. And the oil that you need with it. 169, when you bring your boat into the trailer, the current is pushing one way, the wind is pushing another way, and a lack of speed is not your friend. Get her on. So, okay, if you're bringing your trailer and you're bringing your boat into your trailer, get her on with some speed. Push it onto it. Get her on. You can always throw it into reverse once you're getting it. So get her on, throw it in reverse to halt her from going too far. That's the best way to do it because that way you've made sure that you've secured yourself on the bunks. 170, when you need to replace trailer lights, remember waterproof fittings, electrical liquid wiring, and really crimp them. Do it properly, and core wire. Tinned wire. 171, most people who get a lot of sun on their head get a headache. Wear a hat when not going at speed. So bring a hat, leave it in the cabin, bring it out when you're not going fast. All right. 172, some people try to claim an island as their campground at night. If it's an island that is open to the public, you can stay there just like they can. But remember this, be aware, you'll be sleeping with them and the cops aren't going to find your body or dig it up. So just remember that. If they're claiming the island, they're getting cranky, just find another island. It's not a big deal. 173, if you're going to buy an expensive cooler, slap yourself in the face, buy a Walmart cooler, buy a generator, an ice maker, and an AC unit. Okay, so the whole thing here is those ridiculous coolers, they're not as good as a generator with an ice maker and an okay price cooler. Just buy one of those, you'll make as much ice as you want wherever you are. 174, if you have a battery selector, realize both batteries will already be dead by the time you finally figure out how they actually work. Just watch a YouTube video on battery selectors for marine batteries, okay? Battery 1, battery 2, both off, okay? Just learn about them. 175, if you have a live wire, it's not like a house or a car, end it properly, meaning like you don't have sparks coming out of it, because the burning down over water is ironic, A, and B, next one. 176, also remember wires bounce up and down on a boat, which means that as it's bouncing up and down, it's sparking all over the place. It's more likely to cause a fire. 177, understand that what the watercolor means, oh, this is so important. When the water is darker, it usually means that it's deeper, right? We all know this. When it's a lighter color, it usually means that it's not as deep, okay? But the bottom line is there might be something in the water causing it to seem lighter. There might be something in the water that's causing it to seem deeper when it's not, like a dark rock, and then you run into it and you're having a bad day. 178, the lighter color usually means shallow. 179, or there's an important reef there. 180, or even more important, lighter colored rocks. Okay, 181, are most boats made to hit a bit of sand? Nope. If you have a keel guard, that's the thing that goes on the keel of the boat, it's like this rubbery thing, then yeah, you can hit some sand, you can do some stuff, but most boats don't have a keel guard. It's expensive, fancy boats, they have a stainless steel keel guard. Some of them. 182, know if you can go through seaweed or water grass that isn't protected by every marine federal law ever created. If you have a jet boat, you're going to fail. It's just going to get sucked up and ruin the whole thing. You're going to have to pull it all out. If you have a jet ski, same gig. It's going to get all stuck in there. If it's fixed, okay, so here's the deal. If you have propellers, you can usually go through it without issue. But if you have a jet boat, don't try to go through the weeds. 183, know which way the storm clouds are coming from. Not all clouds are storm clouds, so some clouds will be going one way and other clouds will be going another way. Know what a storm cloud looks like and know what types of different storm clouds you're going to run into. They pop up out of nowhere, especially in Florida. Next one, 184, if you plan to anchor through the storm, don't start once it's drizzling. Start 25 minutes before it reaches you. Okay, it takes time to properly anchor. It takes more than one anchor. 185. If you have a shallow hull, meaning the sides of the boat don't come up that high. So I'm in my boat and I got a hole that's like down here, right? Don't tie off the back with an anchor because you'll get submerged. Let the back of the boat swing because you need the bow of the boat to face into the wind, which is where the big water is coming from that's washing up against you. 186 to 200. If you have a deep or high hull wall, tie off the back of the boat with an anchor that reduces the swing of the boat. You'll be fine. You'll be totally fine. High wall, back wall boats are usually made and built to take on water and shoot it out. 187, realize different people have different tolerances for fear. So some people like me have been abused by nature and society, so not much scares us. However, a lot of people, when they get in a scary situation, they freak out, don't know what to do, and they make the whole situation worse. Save yourself and then try to save them, because you will be a smart person thinking. 188, when things get really, really bad, a rope can be your best friend or the thing that kills you. Remember, when all goes to hell, grab your ditch bag because survival is the only option now that your boat has been lost. With a rope, don't let it get tied around the propeller because it will suck you into it, okay, if it's stuck to you. All right, 189. Never forget that wood floats. Ropes hold things when screws and nails aren't available. Paddles are easy to make. Wind can almost always be found. And the sun will rise in the east and set in the west. 190. Do not rely on sound to be saved from a ditch boat situation. Flying over boats can't hear you. Flying over planes can't hear you. Boats that are far out can't hear you. Use fire. 191. Do rely on controlled fires with signals. Their eyes and heat-seeking equipment work well. They will find you. 192. If you want to be cool, always have an EPIRB or its personal equipment, because dying of thirst in the kiddie pool section of the Bahamas is embarrassing. So make sure you bring a device that will talk to a satellite and say, hey, I'm here. You'll trigger it. They'll come get you. 193. The first boat you buy will likely not be your last. So when you ding it, break it, or scratch it, relax. It can all be fixed with things at your local marine store. 194. Please don't act like you know everything when talking with other boaters. We are all egotistical people, yada yada. Bottom line is, learn things from other boaters. This is a list of 200 things. You're learning things from a boater. You're not being egotistical. When you get out there after doing this and watching a bunch of videos, don't also be egotistical, because you still don't know what you're doing. You haven't done it many times, so you don't have the experience. 194. 195. Realize that hangry people seem to get hangrier on the water. Bring snacks even if you don't have meals. The difference is we call them salty when they're on the water. So hangry people become salty people. 196. If you bring an animal, you need extra water, extra treats, regular food, shelter, a towel. Even if it's a small dog, have a tent or fan on them. If you abuse your pet because you're cool or lazy, then basically your pet's going to be miserable. 197. If you're boating in a colder climate state, just remember it's way colder. 10, 15, 20 degrees colder when you're out there, and ice will form on the surface of some water. 198. Remember, some of these aquatic animals are older than you. Just let that thing sink in, because they made it this far by eating things like humans. All right, next thing. 199. Remember, Karma loves her boyfriend, Nature. Treat her boyfriend with respect, and Nature will give you the moments that flash before your eyes when you're 105 years old, dying on a white linen sheet under a bright light. Okay? Karma gave you those extra years because her date night with Nature wasn't filled with beer cups around her toes while she's sitting on Nature's dock. Just keep that in mind. 200. We're here. Then we got a few little extra ones because I always give a baker's dozen. 200. Humans have inherited in their body an intuition of potential harm. We instinctually have it. Learn to listen for it. The voice isn't always clear, and sometimes it's just a feeling, but listen to it, because the bottom line is your intuition will usually keep you alive. Okay? You'll see things out of the corner of your eyes. You get a little flash in your brain. We pick things up. All right, let's go through some of these other ones. Let's see. Okay, good. All right, so we're going to cover just a few last little details. 207. Don't assume the people around you know what they are doing. Ask them if they know how to do something. That way you can find out if they are a liar. Or if you need help with something, ask somebody that's on your boat, hey, do you know how to do this? Cool, let me show you how to do this. We're going to have to go ahead and bring the boat in over there. Let me show you how to put the cleat, the rope on the cleat. Let me show you how to bring it in. Let me show you how to yada yada. Help them. People want you to help them because they want to be helpful while they're on a boat, because they don't want to be sitting there in fear. Unless you run into some people who just want to sit there and drink wine and they don't care about what happens to you. 208, of course, don't eat pizza. Everybody loves to bring pizza on a boat. Just don't, unless you're a professional boater like me and you know how to eat pizza while boating. All right, guys, if you enjoyed this video and you like more wisdom and yada yada about boating, I'm going to be back in Orlando, or rather Merritt Island area. I can make more videos about boats, show you specifics. If you're looking for specific things that you want me to cover, let me know. I've got a beautiful dock and a bunch of boats, and I can show you what to do with them. Also, I started a website called spaceconstitution.com. I'm building it right now, but it's the first open source, which means anybody can add to it, anybody can work on it. Constitution, that basically anybody on Earth can go ahead and enter information into, create rights, create categories, create stages, all that stuff. If you get a chance in a week or two, what I'd like you to do is go ahead and sign up, check it out, because this is about the freedoms of the future humans that are going into space, future sovereign nations, future countries. We can use this. It's the first open source constitution to add leverage to our arguments to get countries to make politicians give us what we want. Okay? All right, now here's the bottom line. Get out there, get boating, get baha'ing, have a fun time. I'll catch you a little bit later. If you want to help me out, leave me 5 stars somewhere, and there's other stuff in the little section below. Don't forget to subscribe. Subscriptions help me out, and it helps me compete against the big law firms. I'll catch you a little bit later. Have a wonderful day, and we'll go from there. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.